happiness doesn't just come along. You have to create it. You have to get invested in your own joy for it to show up. Random happiness happens. Yeah, there's moments of that are external that can help you connect to your joy, but it has to be an inside job as well. Well, hello there. Thank you for joining me for this episode of Intuition, Your Success Compass. I am on a mission to help everyone, as many as possible, figure out what makes them happy, to connect with your joy. I know this from the soul level that we are here to experience joy. And it's taken me to my 54th year to actually feel permission to explore that and to, bring it out a little bit more in the world. I am doing these episodes on build your happy, find your happy, guide to your happy, whatever your happy is, because I was never taught this. Like, I was never given instruction that one, you can be happy, that actually is an intention you can set, and one could even say a goal, and that it's a good thing to be happy and then share that with the world, and that the definition of happy for each of us is different, which is exactly what this episode is about. Giving yourself permission, and that happiness is an individual endeavor, but it's also an individual perception, like definition, even. Because I know there are some things, like even my partner, my kid, or my closest friends absolutely love and lights them up, makes them happy. I want no part of it. I want absolutely no part of it. So in our relationship, the funny thing is, this might not surprise you, but Mike is a big, movie fan, really knows his stuff. And his genre is sci-fi mixed with a little Doctor Who, mixed with a little bit of monster movie, throw some Godzillas in there. It's not my jam. I will watch because sometimes they do make me laugh. And I think that's part of being in a partnership. Not what makes me happy. Unless we're happy it's over, if that counts. So having an idea of what makes you happy and vice versa. Listen, he doesn't always want to watch the YouTube videos that I love of ultramarathoners and people hiking the Appalachian Trail. I don't do serious TV. I just can't get into the fake of it. Show me real people doing real things, and I will treat it like my serious TV. That makes me happy. What's your thing? What is your escapism or entertainment? Start there. Start by asking that question of yourself. Truthfully, when I was younger in my marriage, and even, maybe even the beginning of our relationship, I wouldn't have said, no, I don't want to watch that. I would have just gone along with it. And then, my 50s, a whole new shift happened. And now you say it politely, but you also communicate that it's not my interest. It's not what makes me happy. Are you happy? I will participate in some of it, but not just go along to get along. So giving yourself permission to enjoy what you may like or what lights you up takes effort, because first we have to figure out what that is. Now, it might be easy when it comes to food. It might be easy when it comes to music. But do you know what actually brings you a soul joy? What has you feel happy from the inside? So that happy is almost a verb, an adjective, its own pronoun. It's just this essence of being in your world and feeling so completely connected that everything feels good and it's all good. And that's not in a denial way, and certainly not in a delusional way, but in a, no, I'm really happy. I'm really good. I'm content. It's a personal experience, path, journey, exploration. Oh my goodness, is an exploration. For myself, you've heard me talk, if you've watched this before, like you've heard me talk about doing needle felting or participating in spin class. These things come along and I get happy because I love learning about it. I love the beginning process of anything, of figuring things out and just actually learning what somebody else has already learned. I really love to follow people in that way, like, tell me what you know. Tell me your brilliance. But in the beginning of the needle felting, my brain had said that, and this would be my saboteurs that would live in my brain, had said that I would never be good at that, because my siblings were the ones that were artistic and crafty, and just gifted in that way. So I never even tried anything until this thing came along and I saw how fast you could make something, which also appealed to me. But I also saw that you could make things that were so joyful, that were so playful. And that's the premise of anything that I create. I like it to bring joy. I like it to be fun for me, but I also love it to be fun for the people that I gift it to. So often has a theme in their lives and, I create something and give it to them. And I'm thinking of them while I'm doing it, and that makes me happy. But the journey to it, including stabbing myself in the finger, because that still happens on everything that I create. I figure a little DNA in all my gifts is a good thing. But getting there, I really had to wrestle with it. First of all, it was okay not to know things. It was okay not to know what batting was or roving was, or why do you want a diamond pointed needle, not like a diamond, but in the shape of a diamond, or why you don't want one. I still don't really know all of those. I grab the needle that feels the best, has a little red tip on it, and that's what I use. But I had to get really good with not knowing and not feeling like a failure. And I feel like that happens a lot for people especially when I'm asking them in coaching, well, what does light you up? What makes you happy? What brings you joy? And it's not that you have to be in this heightened sense of joy all the time. It's just a lit up kind of thing. And oftentimes it's actually a fear of failing at that thing that sounds like it would be fun. Then Willow's agreeing with us. Dogs in the room. Stay tuned for the podcast recording. So it's often the fear of that failing that keeps us from even exploring what could make us happy. I will always suggest that we become Renaissance people, that, appreciate the gift of attention diversity for once, all right? Instead of beating ourselves up if we happen to be neurodivergent. Appreciate bouncing around and learning a little bit and deciding, no, I didn't like that. Trying something else out and maybe taking it a little bit further. I did ceramics for a while. My gig. It was fun to do it with the kiddo, but not my gig. But being willing to fail, but also being willing to try everything on the buffet of life. Figure out what lights you up, what doesn't light you up. This past planting season, I planted everything from seeds. It was a lot of fun. I did enjoy learning about what each one needed and everything. I won't be doing that this year. I did not find that fun. The whole overall haul of it, and then planting, and then not getting as much of a return on it as I had anticipated because they were organic. I grew them myself. Yeah. We should leave that up to the people who are really good at it. And see, that'll make me happy to go support someone who I already have a couple people in mind because I bought a few plants from them and they did amazing. Organic and without pesticides and stuff. That's not easy to do. So it will make me very happy to hand over my hard-earned money to someone who put the love into making their plants because they figured out that made them happy. But we have to think of it, I think for most of us who have gotten a little too serious as adults, we have to think about it as giving ourselves permission to play and permission to explore and permission to be happy, even. Like it's okay to be happy. And in this, be willing to also say, that doesn't work for me. No, thank you. Gonna pass. Not gonna do the paint and sips. Thank you so much for inviting me. Because that power of self discovery is just as great as figuring out the thing that you like, right? Because sometimes we can find something and then it fizzles out and then you're on to the next thing. Well, welcome to life. Welcome to expansion, exploration. It's the same with intuition. I was working with someone yesterday and she said, when will I be able to do what you do? And I said, well, you could do it today if you believed in it, but I don't know because every day it seems my own abilities and gifts are shifting and growing and expanding. In the beginning of this podcast, my left ear was ringing so loud that I have come to know that that means something's going to happen as we go through this. And there'll be some subject that I bring up that I did not plan on bringing up because that's the download from the guides. If I got too caught up in, well, I'm not going to try that because I might fail at it, I would never be able to expand and eventually be able to see spirits, not just hear or feel them. So part of being a human and being a soul in your humanness is knowing and accepting that one, you're never going to know everything, thankfully, because that'd be boring. And two, you're always going to be expanding and learning new things as long as you put the effort into doing that. So get good at not knowing everything, but also get excited about learning as much as you possibly can. There can be such limiting beliefs around happiness. Like my parents were pretty stoic New England beings. And while they both have good senses of humor, which I'm grateful for, because I definitely know I got it from both sides, and that is a plus, they didn't really do happy well. I think they both struggled in their own way with being happy. But when I saw my father fishing, or when I saw him helping somebody else in the neighborhood with something on their car or something, I recognized happiness. And when my mother was talking about a book she was reading, or when she was showing one of the youngest nieces and nephews at that point, because I hadn't had kids yet, how to roll out bread dough, or, how to put up the pickles and things, because we did do all those things for most of my childhood, not the whole thing. Well, not my teen years. But I saw the joy in there and I saw the happiness, and I'm so grateful for those examples. Or when music would be playing in the house, or dad would be watching the Westerns again. Not my jam, but made him happy. The I feel like it balanced out a little bit of the limiting beliefs that were also installed in and instilled in me, that you have to work hard, life is tough, you're paycheck to paycheck, you just stick it out with whatever person you decided to be with. I'm grateful for that example, but it would have been nice to also know that you can pursue happiness within your own relationship. So you may have absorbed limiting belief systems that came from your parents or from your neighborhood, from your culture. Absolutely. Like I said, pretty stoic people, and they learned it from their pretty stoic parents, that you just don't show happiness, you don't show sadness, you probably only show anger, but it may be rooted in some of the cultural brilliance that you were raised in too, that things are going to be hard because they were hard for our ancestors, or they're going to be difficult because that's how the world treats us. And listen, I know the privilege that my upbringing and my skin tone has given me, but I also know that we are all energetic beings and have the ability and the capability to shift our experience And I've seen brilliant examples of this in my friends, in my clients that I've been so blessed to work with, that we did have to work around some of those cultural messages and lessons, and respectfully, because I didn't grow up in that, I had my own. But to honor the pressure that was also placed on them, that you will only be a doctor, you will only be a lawyer, you may not go find the joy, you may not even have joy, my friend, until your GPA is this amount, or you earned this amount, or you married in this way. It exists. And my heart is so then that's where sometimes my role comes in. I've been called Mama Vicky a few times, as giving permission for them to explore what joy may be. Maybe we don't change our profession just yet because that's where we are and that's where life got them. But we look for the joy in making that dinner or in taking the pottery class. Like it both can exist, but you may have to really get clear on what the limiting beliefs that were taught to you or are still being instilled in you. And you have to allow that sadness to be there and some grieving. And as you come through the awareness, because it's really challenging to be in a happy existence continuously, not 100% of the time, but in a continuous where it just becomes that habit that then becomes that way of being. If you don't deal with the sadness, if you don't deal with the regret or with the disappointment, discouragement, anger, all of those emotions that are very valid, just to tell somebody to get happy, it's so disrespectful, so rude, so unconscious is really what it is. So it is, how many more times do you think I can say so? You ever hear yourself talk and realize that that word you've said 500 times already? There's a habit to put on the shelf in intention for this year. As you're exploring the beliefs, be careful and be mindful to not get into the blame of where those beliefs came from. I was communicating to someone today that there's been a little bit of a stomach bug in this house this week. It stopped over. We've been blessed. And one of the things that she emailed back was, and it's going to be so hard to figure out where it came from. Do I have to do that? Do I have to go figure out where it came from? Because it's not going to serve me. It's not going to solve anything. Still going to have this tummy thing I got going on right now. I think from a best case scenario, I don't try to figure out where it's coming from. I support it with the electrolyte drinks, fluids as much as possible, and then knowing that this too shall pass. Probably right through me, but this too shall pass. Sorry. There's a little 12-year-old that lives within me, and any kind of that humor that can get out, I'm happy to express. But this is a good example of how we're trained. Like in her mind, she wants to go find someone to place the blame on, even if it's a shopping cart at a grocery store, which I never use, so I know it's not that. But that's where her wiring is. And I did say to her, I don't think I have to go looking for it. I think I'm just going to support both Mike and myself through this and know that it'll pass. This is no big deal. The beliefs that are there, my belief before may have been to feel sorry for myself, to actually get into the woe is me. I had other plans for this week outside the house that aren't happening. See, you can find a humor in anything. And my belief, because I've worked the last decade on knowing my vibration, raising my vibration, and appreciating the humor in a lot of situations without being dismissive, understanding the limiting belief systems that are there, that I have to give myself permission to appreciate the humor in this, because it lamenting is not gonna solve anything. It's not gonna help anything. It just makes you feel worse. Occasionally, it's good to go, "Ugh, I don't feel good." But if you sit in that, you're just gonna lower your vibration and you're gonna experience more of that. So it was so brilliant that I hadn't even told her that I wasn't feeling well, somebody else did. And so she rushed right in with that. And I appreciate her caring about me. I really do. But that belief system of this has to be something terrible only begets more of that. So understanding that I don't have to meet her expectation that this is what it's going on was very helpful for me. And to see that she cares, and that's her way of caring, and I don't have to join her in that, nor do I have to make it a big deal. So you may be impacted by another individual's pursuit of happiness. Maybe what they are pursuing isn't something that you'd like to pursue, and that scares you, that they're going for it, that they're taking these risks, that they're expanding on themselves. Recognize within yourself that, oh, it's not that I don't want to support my friend or think, wow, that's really cool. It's that something within this message scares me a little bit. And I've done this and even recommended to a lot of people that be so aware of your own internal conversation that you can recognize, oh, that's just triggering something in me, a fear that I don't want to go mountain climbing, or I don't want to sell my house and live in a tiny home. I considered that at one point, but at the time I had a rather good-sized dog. Still do. So that's not going to work. But recognize that it might be kicking off a fear in you, that thing that they're pursuing, I don't want to do, and it scares me. Oh, that's okay. And then just have a conversation with that part of your brain, likely coming from the left side, but we're not blamers here, that you're being a little hypervigilant. We're not expected to go do that thing. So we can be happy for our friend. We can show up in support for this coworker, because what it might be doing is kicking off your own feelings of inadequacy. Maybe some of those family messages that wouldn't be safe. Maybe you experienced they're going to go off in the world and it doesn't feel safe to you because of your background or what you've experienced in life. Have enough awareness to recognize that if someone else is talking about their pursuit of happiness or what they're doing to connect with their happiness, maybe they're minimalists and that's bringing such joy to them and they're talking about it. It's not that everybody has to get on board with that. Just recognize within yourself if it's kicking off something or triggering something. Sit with that a minute and then recognize, oh, unless they really are asking you to join them on that, they're not asking you to join them. You can be happy for them, and you can be the person who supports them from afar, maybe sends that text that says, how's the trip going? That's self-awareness comes from, we've talked about in the past, if you've listened to the episodes, your north is your soul. Do I have a few animals in this house or what? Oh my goodness. See, raw, unedited. This will not be cut out because we're living lives like this, right? That's the example that I am loved, and probably the cat was up here when I wasn't in the room. So, hello, squirrel. The compass, talk about needing a compass to get back on track, right? The compass of your north connecting to your soul and understanding that we all have some directional point that's actually pushing us, pulling us, guiding us to what our happy is. And we all have different compasses. We all have a different north. It's always our soul, but it's different for everyone. And that connection to that and when you hear something that doesn't sound like fun, you don't have to go poo-pooing it. Social media, everybody, well, I wouldn't do that. Well, no one's asking you to do that. So just keep your comments to yourself, okay? This person is sharing what they loved, what brings them joy. Let's get on board with that and support it as long as it's not hurting another being. Okay? Good. Glad we all got that. So then you can use that North Star pull energy, that soul energy, to help you connect with what might be fun for you. Read as many books as possible, watch as many videos as possible, ask questions, spend some time in quiet. If you don't get quiet, you won't know who you are. I'm not talking about the brain not having any talking in it. When you get quiet, your brain's going to talk. It's going to talk about everything you have to do. It's going to talk about what that person said 6 months ago. It's fine. Be patient. Just wait. Your brilliance will come through. I promise you. When you think about happiness and joy being completely connected with being tuned into self, you'll feel more inclined to do this. You may bump up against those that don't want you to be happy. There are plenty of people out there that do. Same thing, social media, right? There may be thousands of people who would support you when your own family won't. Let's stop looking at what doesn't work and look towards what does work. If those random people on the internet are showing up every day and supporting you, and you feel connected and inspired to be in your joy and living your joy, again, if you're not hurting anyone else, well, let's go there and maybe stop sharing as much with the naysayers or the ones that are in their own fear. Have compassion for them. They're in their own fear. But that's also using your compass, right? You're going to use your West, your wiring from where you've come to recognize, well, I used to love doing that. I could do that again. I remember when I was a kid, I loved basketball and I loved just going out and shooting some hoops. I didn't necessarily have to play on a team. I did the town teams, but didn't do high school. But I just loved going out and shooting hoop. When we bought this house, I bought a hoop for the driveway because it was something that both of us loved individually, but it's a lot of fun to also play some of the games that Mike makes up. He keeps changing the rules. But it was a lot of fun to connect with our childhood selves in this place that we now have to support the mortgage, right? So things like that, finding ways to look to your past, your West compass, your wiring, what lit you up before, there's probably a bit of truth in that. Did you like journaling and writing stories as a kid? You probably still do. You just maybe haven't made the time to do that. And then you connect your physical self in the South, and then you take action by being in the East. Happiness doesn't just come along. You have to create it. You have to get invested in your own joy for it to show up. Random happiness happens. Yes, you see that bunny rabbit. You see little kids playing. Your team wins. Yeah, there's moments of that are external that can help you connect to your joy, but it has to be an inside job as well. So I'm going to encourage you to continue listening to yourself, to recognize as you go through the week, what brought you a little bit of happiness? What made you giggle? What had you wonder, oh, I'd like to learn about that. Put it in a note because life gets busy and we forget that that was something you wanted to look up or you were interested in. Put it in a note. Don't worry about being practical about your happiness pursuit. There's going to be some of that because we have electric bills to pay and we have goals and we have careers and we have things that we're running our own businesses or the kids need to go to their events. We're helping them navigate their lives. It's busy. Okay. Don't be afraid to be practical about pursuing your joy because those things will add up as well. And you're going to change interests and people are not going to like it. I am going to leave you with this. Give yourself permission. Say these words. I give myself permission to learn what my happy is. Whenever we say to learn, our brain calms down. It doesn't feel like it has to get it done right now. It gives a little bit of ease, a little bit of space to be able to consider what that might be. Okay? I give myself permission to learn what happy is for me. I give myself permission to learn what joy is. I give myself permission to not know what my joy is. I give myself permission to research what bring me joy. And I give myself permission to do it today. Okay? If you need help, Vicky Baird Coaching, all the platforms. Make sure you subscribe so you get more information and more tools on how to create the happy joy life that really is possible, really is deserving for you. And I so look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Thank you for listening to this episode of Intuition, Your Success Compass. I appreciate you being here. If you would like more information about developing your intuitive skills, removing those blocks, and creating the life that feels the most successful to you, then head on over to VickyBaird.com. That's VICKIBAIRD.com. And check out the courses, the groups, and the Spaces app that will allow you to be part of our community and know about upcoming events and specials. Thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next episode.